All right, today we're jumping into one of the most powerful and, maybe one of the most unsettling laws of power. It's Law 10. And it's basically a huge warning sign about something you might not think about every day: emotional contagion, the hidden dangers that could be lurking in your own social circles. And boom, we get hit with the main idea right out of the gate. I mean, let that sink in for a second. This isn't just about someone's bad mood rubbing off on you for an afternoon. The argument here is that this is, quite literally, a matter of life and death, that misery is a plague you can actually catch from other people. So, who are these people we need to watch out for? The source makes a really important distinction here. We're not talking about friends who are just going through a tough time or are temporarily unlucky. No, we're talking about a very specific type of person: the infector. Someone who seems to actively create their own bad luck and has this uncanny ability to spread it to everyone they touch. To really get our heads around this, we need to see it in action, and the source gives us this frankly terrifying historical example that shows exactly how this emotional plague can spread like wildfire. I want you to meet Lola Montez. Her life story reads like a nonstop tragedy, but here's the key. She was the one constant at the center of a storm of disasters that wrecked almost everyone who got close to her. She is the perfect example of an infector. So, let's trace the path of destruction she left behind her. You're going to see a pattern here. And it is chilling how consistent it is. Our story starts in Paris with a guy named Alexander Dugerier. I mean, this man was a rising star, successful, powerful, a brilliant future ahead of him. And then he met Lola. And how she met him wasn't an accident. It was a campaign. She studied his habits, she set up a so-called accidental meeting, and then she systematically, step by step, wove herself into the very fabric of his life until he couldn't imagine it without her. And the result of her influence? It was immediate. Dujarria's life started to completely fall apart. His luck turned, his friends abandoned him, and it all came to a head in a stupid quarrel over Lola that got him killed in a duel. Just like that, a man at the absolute top of his game was gone. But Lola didn't stop with the Parisian elite. Oh no, she moved on to royalty. She set her sights on King Ludwig of Bavaria, and the effect was just as profound. The king himself said he was bewitched, totally under her spell. With Dugerier, the infection was personal. With King Ludwig, it went national. Lola's growing power in politics infuriated the public, and soon the entire kingdom of Bavaria erupted into riots. Think about that. The presence of just one person was destabilizing an entire country. In the end, King Ludwig, who was once loved by his people, lost absolutely everything. His obsession with Lola Montez cost him his crown. He was forced off his throne in total disgrace. The pattern of destruction just keeps on going. The trail of ruin followed her all the way to England. There, she trapped George Heald, a young army officer with a great future. They got illegally married, which led to his complete downfall. He lost his job, society shunned him, and he died young and broke. And finally, in America, there was Pat Hull. After Lola chewed him up and spit him out, he just spiraled into depression and alcoholism and was dead within a few years. Dugerier, Ludwig, Heald, Hull, all powerful, promising men, and all of them brought to ruin by the exact same person. Okay, the story of Lola Montez is dramatic, for sure, but it serves a real purpose. It helps us learn how to spot these infectors in our own lives before they can do any damage. So how do we actually defend ourselves? Here it is. This is basically your diagnostic toolkit. You need to look for the patterns. A past that's just full of chaos and drama. A long, long list of broken relationships where somehow they're always the victim. Hopping from job to job. They usually have this intense personality that just sweeps you off your feet, and a history that screams they are a magnet for disaster. And the advice on what to do when you find one? It's just as blunt as the warning. The source material does not mince words here. You can't fix them, you can't help them. In fact, trying to help is how you get infected. The only defense is to run. Cut them off completely. But, this law isn't just a dark warning. It actually contains the solution, too. Because if misery is infectious, guess what? So are happiness, success, and good fortune. This is the antidote: consciously choosing positive associations. You can see the two paths laid out, clear as day.
One path leads to instability, chaos, and drains your energy. The other leads to stability, pleasure, and just lifts you up. The strategy is pretty simple, right? Gravitate toward people who are a source of pleasure and who seem to attract good things into their lives.
For a great historical example of this positive infection, just look at Napoleon. The guy was a military genius, obviously, but he knew he lacked social grace. So what did he do? He deliberately kept the super charming diplomat Talleyrand by his side, almost to absorb his polish and charisma by osmosis. And you know what? Over time, it actually worked.
This quote's from the philosopher Baltasar Gracian way back in the 1600s. It just says it all, doesn't it? It is such a simple, profound piece of advice that has stood the test of time. Your life is your own. Don't let it get swallowed up by someone else's problems. And the source wraps this all up with a very clear statement. This law has no reversal. There's nothing to be gained by hanging around infectors, and you have literally everything to lose. Your social circle isn't just for fun, it's a critical part of your own power and your own well-being.
So, we're left with a really challenging question, one you should probably ask yourself. Take a minute and think about the people in your life. Who drains you and who energizes you? Recognizing that difference, according to this law, might be one of the most important things you ever do.